So I'm very excited to be. My name is Itai Keshet. I will be talking about the combination of organic and paid. Myself, I'm the head of the ASO department at yellowHEAD. And again, from our experience, I want to talk about what potential can be found when combining organic and paid, and why both should be part of your marketing strategy. So a few words about yellowHEAD. yellowHEAD is an online performance-based marketing company, specializing both in paid user acquisition, but also in inbound organic growth methods. Over the years, we've gained our experience and knowledge through working with some of the biggest names in the industry, and today I'd like to share with you some points from that experience. Now, because we're going to talk about the relationship between organic and paid, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. So an organic install is obviously one that was achieved without directly responding to an ad campaign. We have two kinds of organic installs, a proactive search and a browse on the app stores. Now, it's very important to remember that installs are disputed, meaning some systems display them as paid, while others look at them as organic. And if you want to measure your organic incremental uplift, you have to be consistent with the way you look at your data. Now, a paid install is obviously one that was achieved through a direct response to a mobile ad. Now, with paid, obviously, from search to social to different media buying options and in-app options, you have a lot of really great ways to do three very important things for your product. Number one, get a larger volume of installs. Number two, get it in a shorter period of time. And number three, target the quality audience that you're trying to get, so you'll have enough in-app sessions, and the app stores will look at the quality of users that you're bringing in as high-quality users. We say that there is a connection between organic and paid. The Kfactor, or in other words, the organic incremental uplift you can expect by combining the two. Now, in the past, when we did AGs, we wanted to increase organic installs. Today, what you want to do, you're going to pay a price for each install, but you want to make sure that with your organic strategy, you're paying less on your paid and your overall CPI. So let's look at the Kfactor. Is it something that really exists, and can you actually predict it? So simply put, the Kfactor is the number of organic installs you're getting for each paid install. Now, a few facts about it. It's dependent on size. The bigger the brand is, the more popular it is, it makes sense that the Kfactor, the organic uplift, would be bigger. Category, it depends on category. So different categories, different Kfactors, sorry. For example, the transportation category, it only makes sense that it would have a bigger Kfactor because that is an app that feeds off a community and a service that is outside the app, and without the community of people using that service, it wouldn't exist, so it has to be shared and viral and so on. Platform. Same app, two different platforms, Android and iOS, different Kfactors, and we'll talk about all of these in a second. Kfactor can definitely be influenced by ASO, your ASO strategy, your organic growth strategy, and also by your product strategy, by taking into consideration in-app sharing options when thinking of your product. And the most important thing, it's not predictable. So the potential is there, but you want to make sure that we've had clients over the years ask us, what can we expect from a Kfactor? And it's really hard to say because of all the different dimensions and things that can influence it. You really have to test it for your own product. But you should test it because the potential is there. So we claim that your paid jumpstarts organics. Let's look at how a paid campaign can result with organic installs. So let's say you start a paid UA campaign, let's say a Facebook video campaign, right? You have the budget and all of that. What happens pretty fast after that is an increase in installs and velocity of installs as well. That signals to the app stores to start ranking you organically for keywords and within your category. That leads to better visibility, which leads to more organic installs. But it doesn't stop there, because that UA campaign also contributes to brand awareness. And now that your brand is out there, people are proactively searching for it. Proactively searching for it, that means more organic installs. But again, it doesn't stop there, because if your product is good, then it will be shared with family and friends, and again, more organic installs. So you see at least 3 places along the paid funnel where organic comes in. And at each place, it has to do with something different. Keyword rankings, or organic rankings, that has to do with your ASO strategy. Shared with family and friends, that's your product strategy. If it's good, it will be shared. And brand awareness, your brand, that's a combination of your product and your marketing. But organic also affects paid, so let's look at that. So if you have an ASO strategy, doing 2 main things. Number 1, you're doing creative A/B testing. You can do it on different platforms, the developer console or any other platform. Your goal here is to increase conversion from page view to install, from impression to install. You want to increase conversion. What you're also doing is doing a keyword strategy. The idea with your keyword strategy is to get better organic rankings. So if you get better organic rankings, what you're getting is you will be favored by the paid platforms, and you will pay a lower CPI. If you're getting better conversion rate, then you will ultimately get better conversion rate for your paid as well, and that also leads to lower CPIs. So this is how organic affects paid. But again, it doesn't stop there, because your A/B testing strategy also highlights your paid opportunities to later use them within your paid advertising. And your keyword strategy increases your app page quality score if you're doing Apple search ads, for example. That used to be the case also Google before UAC. So let's look at an example how a continuous graphics funnel looks like. So again, you're doing creative A/B testing as part of your organic strategy. Every once in a while, you'll have a winning theme, and that winning theme will be applied on the store. From our experience, if you use that theme on a Facebook campaign, a video campaign, optimized for a purchase event, you'll see a 20% decrease in your cost per paying user, on average, of course, and a 50% increase in your ROI D7. Now, you don't need to say, I'm not saying these are the numbers that you'll be seeing, but we can definitely see a trend here, and you should definitely test this. And if you have something that's organically proven itself, use it in your paid ad campaigns, and you should definitely see results. So we spoke about your creative A/B testing, but let's look at your keyword strategy. So let's say you're doing Apple search ads and you're targeting keywords. As part of that, you want to make sure that the quality score on your page, if it's not, you do on-page modifications. And again, simply put, you need your paid and your App Store page, your organics, to be synced. If it's information that you're targeting on your paid, have to be, again, on your organic or on your App Store page. But also, they have to be always synced, and you always change it. If you're targeting something else, you go back and you modify your organics. But this information should not be just kept in one market, because Apple search ads, for example, is now available in all these different markets, not only English-speaking markets. And what you could do and should do is localize and try to target and get all that information, not just from the US or English-speaking markets, in all these different markets. So let's look, we've briefly talked about what affects the Kfactor. Let's dive into that again. So size. It only makes sense that the more popular the brand is or the app is, the greater the impact, the greater the organic incremental uplift. Obviously, a consumer was more likely to choose or search for Coca-Cola than any other soda, or Tinder than a generic dating app, or obviously Uber than any other car services. So if these or brands decide to do a paid campaign, the organic incremental uplift they'll see the number of organic installs for each paid would be much higher than a smaller band or an unknown band. And that actually makes sense. But let's look at the category. So an article by Tune looked at the Kfactor across categories. So we see a few interesting things here. Number one, it's different. It's different across categories, and again, that makes sense. Number two, the highest Kfactor is in the transportation category. For each paid install, on average, a transportation app gets 17 organic installs. And again, that makes sense because these types of apps need to be shared, need to have a community around them, need to be viral. If they're not, they simply will not exist. And if you look at apps from tools and strategy and so on, they simply don't need that same viralness, and so it makes sense that their Kfactor would be lower. Another interesting thing is also within games, you can see different Kfactors. Within type of games, if you're in a certain category that this will be your Kfactor, you can always test and think of in-app sharing options, and you can always increase it by that. But this is some sort of a benchmark to understand that there is a difference. What about the platform? So we work with a lot of social casino apps. So we looked at 15 social casino apps for 6 months worth of installs with pretty much a similar volume of installs and a similar budget going into paid. And we found that there's about 43% difference between the Kfactors. Now, it doesn't matter which one is higher for this, because the idea here is that there is a difference, and it mainly comes down to the types of users using the different platforms. Now, again, the numbers don't really matter here. What I'm trying to say is that you need to take into consideration that the platforms are different, so you need to make sure you have a proper strategy for each platform and not just for the product as a whole. What about a negative Kfactor? Can a Kfactor be negative? Even if you increase your paid budget, sometimes you can see a dip in organic installs. And why does that happen? The main idea is you're probably bringing users with low user engagement. Engagement is one of the key factors for the app stores to organically rank you for category and keywords. And what that signals to the stores is that your quality, the quality of your traffic is low. If it's low, you'll get a decrease in your organic rankings, and your visibility will be hurt, and your organic ranking installs will go down. Also remember that simply shutting down a low-performing campaign can get you back some of those organic installs. Now, it's super important to always track and understand what you're doing in terms of paid and organic so you can shut it down if results are not good. The three factors for success in this, the way we see it, are the following ones. So number one, what we do at yellowHEAD, we try to work in the form of squads. So you have ASO, someone from organics, working with someone from paid, from PPC, working together for the main reason of knowledge sharing. If you see from one hand, from the organic, if you have a really good A/B test that was working, you want to obviously try to use it on your paid ad. But from the paid side, these are backed up by systems with a lot of information in them. CPIs and LTVs and ROIs, which the organic side doesn't have. So you can use that information to see the types of users you're bringing in and really share that with the organic side and see if you're on the right track. For that same reason exactly, we want to make sure that our creative team, if possible, is working both on your organic and paid. Again, for knowledge sharing reasons. And you'd be surprised, you would obviously say that if there's a good performing A/B test, you'll use it in your paid. But if it's not the same team working on it, sometimes you miss out on those opportunities because that knowledge is not being shared on a practical basis. And then the last thing is your BI team. Again, because organics doesn't have that ecosystem behind it with all the different information, we have to constantly try to build something or try to visualize or display the data in a way that we can drive actionable next steps and actionable intelligence from it. This brings us to the tool, the way we use the information. So with our clients, we ask for access for the developer consoles, but we don't simply use the information there. We use some of the reports, but we try to take out the information via live API connections and display it or visualize it in a way where, again, we can create actionable next steps. For example, show paid and organic together. Show them for a longer period of, you can see trends or you can see seasonality. But again, it doesn't stop there. For that same reason of adding more information and more data to your decision-making process, we're working on a creative tagging tool that won't just tell you which, in an A/B test, which, for example, video performed better. We'll also know why it performed better, meaning was it the orientation of the video? Was it the length of it, the sound, something that happened after 20 seconds, a certain character? All those things can be broken down and tagged, and you can then later on understand if there's a winning video, why it won, and use that information to when you're creating your next videos. And then the last thing, which is obviously the most important thing, is your product. So if your marketing strategy is perfect and your product strategy is not perfect, you'll not get the results you're trying to get. And by a perfect marketing strategy, I'm not saying be the next Fortnite or Snapchat or Tinder. Of course not. That's impossible to forecast. Look at your product and make sure it's getting good star ratings, no bad reviews, no crashes, no bugs. Make sure that you took into consideration in-app sharing options when you created your product. If you think of all of these ahead of time and combine organic and paid, you should see that uplift that we're talking about here. That's all I have for you today, so thank you very much.